Anonymous once said that people back home wouldn't buy a ring if they knew that it caused someone else their hand. See, one of us, or many of us, are either one day going to get married or we're going to want to buy jewelry. So we have to be sure that the diamonds that jewelry has or that ring has is conflict free. And by conflict free, I mean behind that history, there was no life taken, there was no torture, and there was no physical labor to get that diamond. I've done extensive research for this persuasive essay, as well as watching documentaries on Netflix in regards to blood diamonds. Purchasing non-conflict-free diamonds, they bring more harm than happiness. More people are being harmed versus, someone being, I guess you could say, flashy and icy. This is Mayweather, some of his chains, and then that's a Gucci Mane rapper next to him. We're going to talk about how many have suffered for others, so how kids in Africa have suffered. Not kids necessarily, but as well as adults have suffered in Africa. And I'll also be talking about how there's a lack of awareness present amongst people. And then how we have other options versus just buying diamonds. So to illustrate, the cost of diamonds is more than currency, it's the cost of life. The main thing is that many people are suffering for the search of diamonds. According to Dr. Ina Manchnik, member of Faculty of Law at the University of Copenhagen, she published an article in the summer of 2009 stating how Sierra Leone is known for this. It's a very beautiful location off the west coast of Africa, but although it has that beautiful geographics, it's not known for that. It's known for what you see on the right-hand side, which is the diamond mines. So we see how people suffer. They suffer in the mines, so they have to get the diamonds. People are being tortured, they're being raped, and even being and having their limbs amputated. So we see how people are being are suffering just so they could get diamonds, and then we go back to this. So people like that could have their stuff. And then for that reason, that's why we call it the blood diamonds, because people shed blood getting the diamonds. So that's why the title is blood diamonds, because people are suffering and shedding blood so they could get the diamonds. So we see how people are buying diamonds without really being concerned of like where that diamond came from. So it's so people aren't really asking if it's conflict free or not. So they're just buying the diamonds and thinking to themselves, oh yeah, I really want this nice diamond piece, but they're not really being considerate of where that's coming from. So they're sometimes supporting it without even knowing that that the diamond is conflict free. According to Erin Baker, a journalist for the Time magazine, she shared a story with an unknown date. She shared a story of a little boy who couldn't go to school and had to drop out because he couldn't really afford it. He had to go to the diamond mines, and he had to work in search of finding diamonds and bringing in income for his family as well. And then from 1991 to 2002, there was a Civil War era between the trafficking and the illegal trade of diamonds. So between that time, according to Erin Baker, according to the LA Times, which was stating on April 16, 2000, with an unknown author, up to 500,000 people lost their lives doing that. So we see how people have been suffering through this for the diamond mines, and how people are just struggling just so they could get income for themselves, but yet still giving other people their luxuries. And then the cause is that people are unaware. We see that the unawareness is the main reason. And then the demand for the diamonds is creating the long employment. And then we could compare that to drugs. We see how many people want diamonds. So obviously it's the richer people who want diamonds, like rappers and boxers that make a lot of money, that make millions. They create that demand. Obviously they need someone to make diamonds for them and get their pieces together. So we could say it's kind of like drugs, how people are addicted to drugs and they need the drugs, they need a supplier. So just as a diamond person who likes diamonds needs their supplier, we see that we can compare it and say it's just as bad. According to T. Lister, CNN journalist, he mentioned on an article published on August 31, 2015, that a Belgian man named Michael D. He was leaving the airport trying to come back to the States from across the country, and he was on a European search warrant for being involved in the 1991 and 2002 Civil War illegal trafficking So we see how authorities take serious measurements on this topic. So we just kind of compared it then back to the drug deal, just as a drug trafficker would be arrested and taken to jail. People are unaware and they're continuing to buy. So if they knew whether or not this diamond was conflict-free, then they would have to second think about whether or not they want to buy that diamond. So that would just be something else as well for that issue. And having this in mind, we have other options. So that's the lack of awareness, and then those are other options. What we have, we can invest in other things such as a car, traveling, charity, or your retirement plan. So you could, versus just like buying diamonds, you can invest your money in something else. That's something we're all capable of. And we could also lean on man-made diamonds as well. So we don't have to lean on diamonds that are real. We could just do manufactured diamonds that are made by hand and machine. And then another thing that we could do is just simply asking a retailer. I know some of us may for sure want to buy a diamond, so it's like you must have a diamond in your lifetime. You could always ask a retailer whether or not that diamond is conflict-free. They'll be able to help you out with that. According to a Sales Jewelry on their website without a specific date of publication, they state that their diamonds are conflict-free. So if you guys would ever have any issues or second doubts, you could always ask for proof or request that their diamonds are conflict-free, and they'll be able to provide that issue upon requests. To conclude, blood diamonds must not be ignored. I briefly talked about how many have suffered. Many have suffered in Africa. I talked about how there's a lack of awareness amongst people and how we could become aware. And then the other options that we have, because buying diamonds that are tainted with blood indirectly are not the only option that we have. So, just next time you guys ever want to buy a jewelry diamond piece and you want to be flashy and icy, you could always ask and see if that diamond is conflict free, because you guys never know, you guys could be supporting blood diamonds as